It's Wednesday, March 16th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and we'll be bringing you the latest local news today, including authorities still looking to solve the murder of a Shelton teen 2 years ago, as well as shots fired in Bridgeport yesterday, and much more. Of course, Rob Adams will join us with a look at local sports and the forecast, and Donald Ang will take a look back on this day in history. But first, it's the 2-year anniversary of the tragic shooting of a 15-year-old teen in Shelton, one that rocked the community. State and Shelton police are still looking to make an arrest in the killing of 15-year-old Christian Noge that took place 2 years ago. Noge was shot in the leg and head on March 15, 2014, while standing in the driveway of a house on Agawam Trail in Shelton. He was transported to Bridgeport Hospital to treat his injuries, but was pronounced dead 5 days later. Noge's death was ruled a homicide. Before Shelton Police Chief Joel Herleman retired late last year, he spoke to the Valley Indy, saying that authorities had received new information that he thought could help crack the case. The state is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the case. State police and Shelton police are continuing to follow leads, and they're asking anyone with information to call 1-800-842-0200. And Bridgeport police were investigating gunshots at Trumbull and Reservoir Avenues on Tuesday afternoon. Dispatch reports indicated that the gunman was a black man wearing a white hooded sweatshirt or jacket with black stripes. There were several rifle rounds recovered at the scene, some unfired, possibly shot from an AK-47 assault rifle. Police were canvassing the area at about 4:45 in the afternoon, looking for a silver Acura possibly involved in the shooting. Thankfully, there were no injuries reported. And Darien police are investigating a series of suspicious credit card purchases made at Stop and Shop during the first week of March. 2 suspects made purchases worth a combined value of more than $2,500. The 2 suspects, both men, bought multiple $200 Visa gift cards, along with some miscellaneous items and groceries in several separate transactions. According to the cashier, one suspect was able to provide identification matching the name on the credit card used. But later in the day, the supermarket received a call from a woman who said that her card carrier had notified her of the large transactions. In total, the men used 4 different credit cards to purchase over $2,500 worth of goods, including the gift cards and their activation fees. Police said the suspects may be using cloned versions of real credit cards to complete the transactions, but that investigation is still underway. And according to the Associated Press, a 13-year-old medical marijuana advocate who moved from Connecticut to Maine so she could access cannabis to treat a rare form of epilepsy has died. 2 medical marijuana advocacy groups say that Cindy Mae Meehan died Sunday in her family's Augusta home. She had a severe form of epilepsy known as Dravet syndrome. Her mother moved her to Maine to access medical marijuana after failed attempts to treat the girl's frequent seizures using federally approved drugs. Connecticut doesn't allow pediatric medical marijuana use, but a new bill this session is up for a vote by the Public Health Committee. Cindy Mae's family had returned to Connecticut late last month, recently to speak in support of that bill. A family friend and medical marijuana advocate says Cindy Mae regained her strength and stopped using a wheelchair once she began taking the cannabis oil. The family became medical marijuana advocates, often testifying on state bills. The family is planning a funeral in Connecticut. And the Derby Walmart on New Haven Avenue will close July 29th, according to the Valley Independent Sentinel. The 150 employees have been told of the decision to close the store. Walmart spokesman Philip Keene said the company hopes to transfer all those Derby employees to other stores in the area. There are 3 other Walmarts within 10 miles, including one in Shelton. The Derby Walmart is in the former Caldor's store, and you can get more on that story at valleyindy.org. And a Middletown couple that was arrested after authorities seized more than 130 animals from their property have been released on a $10,000 bond. 36-year-old Thomas Alejos and 37-year-old Melanie Alejos appeared in court Tuesday in Middletown on 35 counts of animal cruelty. Officials seized 32 horses, 78 chickens, 19 rabbits, and 2 dogs from Fairy Tale Equines in East Hampton last month. The Connecticut Department of Agriculture says the animals were malnourished and living in unhealthy conditions. Their attorney says the couple became overwhelmed with the cost of taking care of the animals. The couple permanently turned the animals over to the state last week. They are due in court again next month. And on March 13th, the New Canaan Police Department received a complaint from a resident about being defrauded by an individual who identified himself as being an Eversource representative. The fraudster claimed that the resident's electric bill was past due and that service would be shut off unless payment via Western Union was immediately made. The resident sent the money via Western Union and later called Eversource to complain about losing power at his home. However, that power loss was due to a downed tree. An Eversource representative told the resident that he had been defrauded. The scam has been reported throughout Fairfield County, have been targeted. According to Eversource, the company representatives will never demand instant payment and do not require the use of prepaid debit cards. For tips to avoid falling for that scam, you can visit ncadvertiser.com. We're going to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a look at today's forecast. Rob?
All right, Kate, good morning, everyone. As we hit the hump day, and boy, I mean, Kate said Caldor, my knees went weak. Flashbacks there. Oh, God, so great. All the way back to when I was a kid. Anyway, all right, to the forecast. A chance of showers today, mainly after 5, with a partly sunny day otherwise and a high near 59. Now, the chance of precipitation is only 30%, so nothing to get too excited about. Showers likely tonight, mostly before 9, then mostly cloudy and a low around 43, with a wind out of the south at 5 miles per hour. It'll become calm as we move along. Thursday, slight chance of showers, only 20%. Thunderstorms after 1 could produce small hail, gusty winds, dogs and cats and everything else. Mostly cloudy and a high near 63. No dogs and cats, no animals will be harmed during this broadcast. The wind will be light out of the southwest, increasing to 6 to 11 in the afternoon. Gusting as high as 23, though. Thursday night, chance of showers and thunderstorms. More of the same that I mentioned for Thursday in the daytime. Mostly cloudy, low 40. We're dropping back down. Chance of showers for Friday, partly sunny, high 50. Sunny and 42 for Saturday. A slight chance of rain on Sunday, partly sunny and 44. And Monday, I mentioned snow initially earlier in the week. Now I'm seeing just a chance of rain, mostly cloudy and a high near 46, which is great news considering the FC Actor is getting ready to come to a school near you, and some of those stops may actually be on Monday. In Wilton, you have 59, Greenwich 56, and right here in Shelton, 58 degrees. I'm going to Caldor. Be back in a little bit. Kate, back to you.
I wish. All right, I miss Caldor. All right, well, we're going to step out for a break. When we come back, we throw it back to Rob for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Donald Lang takes a look back on this day in history, and we have some more headlines coming up after this.
Darien Sports Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sports Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Had a sports injury that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist quickly. Their highly trained orthopedic professionals expertly treat you without an appointment. Skiing, snowboard, or sports accident, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk. Call 203-845-2070 or coastalorthoexpress.com. Find them on Facebook at Coastal Ortho CT.
what's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State.
Join Kate Czaplinski
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
It's Wednesday, March 16th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Eng's Look Back on This Day in History. Check it out.
The last straggler finally gets on board, sort of. But first we go to 1621. A Mohegan named Samoset, who had been taken to England as a prisoner, then returned to find his village had disappeared during a smallpox epidemic, walks into the settlers of Plymouth Colony and greets them with the famous, "Welcome Englishmen, my name is Samoset." 1926. Robert Goddard launches the first liquid-fueled rocket in Auburn, Massachusetts. The rocket rocketed to an altitude of just over 40 feet, remaining airborne for nearly 3 seconds, but it worked. 1968, the height of the Vietnam War, the My Lai massacre, but at least 340 and possibly as many as 500 Vietnamese villagers killed by American troops. That is the memorial on the site there. And finally, now we go to 1995 for this.
Lawmakers approved the measure in 1995. The next step was to send it to the Secretary of State's office, and then the Secretary of State's office would send it to the feds. That's where the problem popped up. Then Secretary of State Dick Malpas's office didn't send the paperwork to the National Archivist in Washington.
Dick Malpas said, of anything to miss, this was the one I wish I hadn't missed, and I think it just fell through the cracks for whatever reason.
Senator Hillman Frazier was the author of the resolution vote in 95. He says it is a bit of an embarrassment that the final work wasn't finished, but it is now.
We have a history we can't run from. We have to look at our history and learn from it and go forward.
It's long.
Yes, believe it or not, it was on this date in 1995 that the state of Mississippi formally ratifies the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery. But due to a clerical error, the record of the vote never reaches the federal government, and Mississippi officially remained opposed to abolition for another 18 years until the debut of the movie Lincoln, when researchers realized the 1995 vote had never been recorded with the National Archives. The state of Mississippi formally approves abolishing slavery on this date, 1995. That is your look back in history, and I am Donald Eng.
All right, thanks so much to Don. Now throwing it back to Rob for a Nutmeg Sports Update.
All right, Kate, thank you very much. We'll start in boys ice hockey, and there are a lot of smiles around the FCAC this morning. We start with Ian Offenberg. His shorthanded goal, 10-19, into the extra session, propelled Staples Weston Shelton to the Division III state championship game over Woodstock Academy, 6-5. The Wreckers, which includes members of the SCC and SWC, will play FCAC foe West Hill Stamford Saturday morning for the Division III title. Woodstock Academy held a 5-3 lead early in the third period before Ryan Pergay and Ryan Johnson both scored to tie the game up. By the way, Mike Suppy was at that game reporting last night for the Shelton Herald. He will join us on Nutmeg Sports this afternoon at 2 to tell us about what he called one of the wilder games he has seen. That's not a direct quote, but you get the idea. As for West Hill Stamford, they beat the top seed New Fairfield Immaculate 4-1. Nick Rich had a goal and 2 assists. Now add in Fairfield in the D2 championship and Darien with a chance to advance in the D1 final. And there are some happy people around Fairfield County today for ice hockey. From boys basketball, Danbury has advanced to the Class XL semifinals. The Hatters top Wilbur Cross 73-65. Marcus Fox scored 20 as Danbury rallied from down 9 in the third quarter. They will play Hillhouse tomorrow night at Crosby High School for the chance to play in the championship at Mohegan Sun. Speaking of which, the times for the finals are beginning to come out. Greenwich and Stamford will play for the Class XL girls title Sunday at 3. On to Class L. Great game last night between East Catholic and Windsor. Mark Carbone of East Catholic fired up a 3 from the right wing. That turned into a 4-point play to tie the game up before they went on to win 60-57. Carbone had 34 in the win. They'll next play Middletown at Mohegan Sun. They needed overtime to knock off Newington 73-68. The Class S championship will feature Immaculate, who knocked off Holy Cross 74-58, and Coggins. The Blue Devils advanced, beating East Windsor 46-43. On the schedule, we're down to a fairly light schedule overall. Some semifinals still going on. Darien and Notre Dame of West Haven will play hockey tonight in D1. That's at 5:30. You've got Fairfield Prep and Hamden is the other game. That's at 7:30. You've got the CIAC swimming finals, Class XL at Wesleyan University in Middletown at 12:45, and Class L at Wesleyan as well at 5:15. Fairfield Prep in Class XL boys basketball. The state final times are going to come out as the day goes along, so it is a busy and exciting time. And again, more on all of this. Dave Stewart will join me as well as Mike Suppy for Nutmeg Sports later today at 2. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. Kate, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to a little more news today. As we've talked about earlier in the week, beavers, not budgets or bonding, were the most important topic at Stratford's Town Council meeting on Monday night. Many visitors who spoke to town councilors during Monday's public forum came to voice their anger over the decision of the town to lay down traps to capture and eliminate beavers who had built a dam in Pumpkin Ground Brook. Several meeting visitors held up yellow signs reading "Save the Beavers," and many of the speakers also challenged the trapping decision made by the Roosevelt Forest Commission after months of discussion and concerns from neighbors on Barrister Road about flooding and falling trees. Town officials said the decision to bring in the traps came after months of trying to breach the dam, which was only fortified once the beavers returned. Danielle Wilson of Elm Street in Stratford said the town didn't do its due diligence before deciding to lay the traps. Nancy Rice, who visited from Norwalk, asked the town council and Mayor John Harkins to overrule the Forest Commission's decision and remove the traps and consider other options. She also said that beavers are a non-nuisance animal but are actually keystone animals for biodiversity. And Bill Minetti of Seymour brought a spring-loaded trap to the meeting using a rolled-up newspaper to show what happens when an animal gets caught in one, causing gasps from the audience. Mayor John Harkins said before Monday's meeting that the town had experts come in to analyze the problem, and while the town would have liked to move the beavers elsewhere, state rules prohibit that. And the Audubon Society's Coastal Center in Milford is currently closed, and repairs have started following a frozen pipe that caused water damage after it burst in February. Center Director Kathy Hagedorn wrote in an email message this week that on Monday morning, President's Day, they found a disaster. A pipe had frozen and burst, and the water had poured out into the Great Room and Animal Exhibit teaching area. The damage was extensive, and Hagedorn said she had no choice but to shut down the building, the porch, and observation tower to the public. She said nothing inside the big room could be saved, including the equipment used for their Osprey cam. The staff and volunteers are working long hours and assessing the loss for the insurance company. Crews are fixing the floors and repairing the other damage. During repairs, the preserves surrounding the building remain open, according to the Audubon website. That includes the parking lot observation platform near the marsh, and the boardwalk and observation platform leading to and overlooking the beach and Long Island Sound. And Reading town leaders and the fire chiefs of Reading's 3 volunteer departments, which include West Reading, Reading, and Reading Ridge and Georgetown, said Monday they plan to look at ways to increase volunteerism within the department, including increased tax abatements or other perks that might help retain fire and EMS personnel. The big issue, according to First Selectman Julia Pemberton, is that they do not know how to keep and recruit and retain members. At West Reading, a hardcore active membership of 20 individuals run most of the department, while the Ridge has about 45 active members. These 2 departments alternate coverage of paid Reading EMS services weekly, while Georgetown maintains 2 paid EMS crews during the day and 1 paid crew during the night. Overall, departments have seen a negative trend of participation in town. In Reading, volunteer firefighters and EMTs who live in town, but many actually come from Bethel, Danbury, and even Easton to volunteer, earn a $1,000 tax abatement every year that they meet service standards set by the department. Last year, the town budgeted for $54,000 worth of abatements, but the abatement is actually taxed by the IRS's income, greatly reducing the benefit to many firefighters. Some don't even bother to claim it, according to chiefs. In addition to the abatement, firefighters with years of active service are eligible for a small retirement benefit when they reach 65. Those members who retire with 20 years of service earn about $150 per month from a pension. But you can get more information on that story at thereadingpilot.com. And the National Association of Female Executives has included Boehringer Ingelheim of Ridgefield as one of its top 60 companies for executive women in 2016. NAIF, a division of Working Mother Media, said this year's winners were chosen based on how they prioritize the retention and promotion of female employees at all levels of the organization. Of Boehringer Ingelheim, they said in part, keeping a calendar full of appointments can be tough on executives' health, especially if they lack downtime to see doctors or work out. But at this pharmaceutical company, they can take advantage of flexible schedules and extensive paid time off when they need a break. You can get more on that story at the Ridgefield.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. The construction is incredible, whether it's the floors, the fireplace, the moldings, the lighting. It's as peaceful as my home was in the middle of the woods. It feels like a house. It does not feel like a condo or a townhome. I feel like I'm in my house.
Are you hoping winter is finally in our rearview mirror? Can't wait for the air and water temperatures to start rising? Well, if the answer is yes, you need to get over to Darien or Westport and stop by the Dock Shop, where it's always summer. Both shops are being stocked with lots of new merchandise, including fishing tackle, marine electronics, boating supplies, and more. But remember, the Dock Shop isn't your average tackle shop. At the Dock Shop, you'll also find the finest selection of nautical apparel, jewelry, home decor, and gifts in New England. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Online at dockshop.com.
Find over 1,000 special stories at Hospital for Special Surgery. Go to hss.edu/backinthegame.
I was jogging 5 months after my cartilage tear.
Skiing a year after hip surgery.
And playing grandma 4 weeks after hip replacement.
One special hospital, 1,000 special stories. See Connecticut patients at hss.edu/CT.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure every Thursday at 2 on the HAN Network.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office. I'm John.
Is Uber really a bargain? I'm Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation. Commentary and analysis on getting around in Connecticut. It's been almost 2 years since Uber rolled into town, and that car service since then has really rocked the service of cars and taxis to their very core. But is Uber competing on the same level as taxis and car services? Of course not. That's why it's so successful. I recently spoke with Uber's Connecticut manager, Matt Powers, and Randy Klein, who's the owner of Darien's Drivers Unlimited car service, to get a sense of how the two services compare. Full disclosure, I have been a paying customer of both companies. While Uber does offer a black car or premium service, my comparisons are with their more popular UberX service, private cars driven by non-chauffeurs, 7,000 of whom have signed up as drivers in Connecticut in the past couple of years, according to Powers. Let's first look at the vehicles. Car services usually opt for Lincoln SUVs or Lincoln Town Cars. UberX just requires drivers to have a 4-door car less than 10 years old with a trunk big enough to carry a wheelchair. Maintenance. Klein owns and maintains his own car service fleet, inspecting all cars each week. Uber relies on its X-car drivers to do their own upkeep. Driver screening. Klein says he does his own background checks on top of the DMV screening that's required for a CDL or commercial driver's license. Uber says it does rigorous screening of its drivers, including terrorist watch lists, but requires nothing more than a regular driver's license. Klein's company also does random drug tests of his drivers. Insurance. Klein says he has coverage of up to $1.5 million for every driver incident. Uber relies on the individual driver's personal insurance, but layers a $1 million policy on top when they're driving Uber customers. Ratings. Uber asks drivers and passengers to rate each other after every trip. Klein asks his passengers to rate the drivers, but says it's unfair to allow drivers to rate customers. We're in a service business, he says. Booking. Klein says most of his reservations are made 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Uber doesn't do advance bookings, though in my personal experience, I've never had to wait more than 10 minutes for a car. Fares. Again, this is not an apples-to-apples comparison, but an average car service ride from Darien to LaGuardia Airport is anywhere from $130 to $180 one way. Uber's quote for one of their X cars is about $75. Surge pricing. When demand is the highest, Uber adds a surcharge to fare quotes, sometimes doubling the fare. Klein says his rates are the same, 24/7. If you have problems, Klein says his office can be reached anytime by phone toll-free. Uber's website offers a template to file complaints online. So is Uber really a bargain? Well, let me answer with a hotel analogy. Sometimes I love staying at the Ritz-Carlton with its plush rooms and fabulous service, usually when I'm on someone else's expense account. Other times, a Motel 6 or a La Quinta is fine for me, though there are sometimes a few surprises. I see car services the same way. With a plush Lincoln SUV and chauffeur, you get what you pay for. But sometimes, all you want is to get from home to the airport, and then an UberX is just fine and a whole lot cheaper. I'm Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation.
Thanks so much to Jim Cameron with Talking Transportation. We're going to start to wrap things up on your coffee break, but Rob, we have a lot more great programming coming up, including Nutmeg Sports at 2.
Yeah, Dave Stewart will be up. We'll talk about things going on in and around the FCAC, Kate, and of course, Mike Suppy's going to stop by. He saw that pretty wild game that Staples West and Shelton won last night to put them into the state championship game, so be a good show today, 2 o'clock later today.
All right, great. And at 12:30, CT Pulse coming up with myself and Josh Fisher. We talk about some of the social media response we've gotten to some of the stories we've done. So make sure to check that out at 12:30 today. Your coffee break will be back tomorrow at 11. Have a great Wednesday.